Welcome to another episode of Modern Art Blitz. I am your host, Matt Gleason. For the next hour, we will be talking and maybe even singing along to some of the greatest interesting contemporary art in and around Los Angeles, aka Southern California. Today's episode, our 67th. Whew, I'm tired. My first guest of 3 guests, and one guest slot has 2 in it, so that's 4 guests total. My first guest is Ben Jackel. Ben, welcome to Modern Art Blitz.
Thanks for having me, Matt. Real good to be here.
Hey, so I wanted to introduce you. I wasn't sure of do I call you a ceramicist? Do I call you a fired clay?
I've called myself a lot of those names throughout the years. I was a potter, I was a ceramicist, ceramic sculptor. I call myself a sculptor today.
A sculptor, okay.
Yeah.
Not an artist,
No.
a sculptor.
Actually, I don't want to get too much into it, but I have an issue with the word artist.
What is your issue with the word
Well,
artist?
it's just used all over the place for everything. Everybody, and I always think there's a better word to describe what you do. I could say I'm an artist. That doesn't really tell anyone anything necessarily. If I say I'm a sculptor, they know what I do. I just cut the one word out, get to the point, just stop misusing the word artist.
You know, the Eskimos have 40 words for snow, and I'm totally in agreement with you that we need more words for art. So we are looking at, what are we looking at?
We're looking at a ceramic sculpture of a gas mask.
Wow.
One of the gas masks that we used during the Gulf War, during Vietnam.
Okay.
Kind of the image of our troops out there with those bags over their heads, afraid that they're going to be gassed by Saddam.
So let me ask you, is this life or death sized?
It's actually about double size.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's part of it. It's a part of a series of helmets, ceramic helmets that I've done. Most of them were kind of middle-age, fancy metal, jousting helmets. This one kind of more modern imagery, and by being larger, that just kind of has this extra power. They have the power of this thing that they're talking about.
So the whole series was double size?
Yeah.
1 to 2 relation?
About the 12, maybe, about a dozen of these I've made at this point.
Wow. And what year was this?
This one's brand new.
Really?
This is for my upcoming show.
Oh, where's your upcoming show?
LA Louvre, date's July 12th.
Top of the top.
I'll be sharing the space with Ed Keenholz upstairs, and it's going to be a killer show.
Hey, we're talking the top of the art pyramid as far as LA goes.
Well, thank you.
I love you go to those old the old art forum issues from the 70s, and there's an ad for LA. It's the only LA gallery. It's out of that came so much.
I'm tremendously lucky and blessed to be showing with them.
Yeah, is working with Peter Fine, or have you ever met him?
No.
I know artists who show with Gagosian who've never met Gagosian.
No, Peter's a busy man, but he's like an uncle to me, and we have a great relationship.
And really hands-on?
Oh, absolutely. He was just over at my studio a couple weeks ago.
Does he ever just say, nah, start again? No?
No, sometimes he looks at ideas and says, and then I kind of know.
There's kind of
and then I think, maybe there's a better idea I could work on here.
Good.
For sure.
So, and how long have you been showing with them?
That's 10 years now.
Wow, 10 years.
Yeah.
So good relationship, great gallery.
They are the best. They are the best.
And obviously with a track record like that, there's some galleries that have been around a long time, but they don't necessarily have as good a reputation.
Sure. No,
so
that's great.
You can go anywhere in the art world and tell people you show with LA Louvre.
I do,
right?
and they know where I show,
Yeah.
and it's a fantastic just place to be.
Great brand.
Really.
Is that your only gallery?
That's the only place I show, yeah.
Only place you show, only representation, but you've shown in other spaces,
Yeah,
of course.
I've shown all over the country, the world to some extent, but that's my commercial representation.
Where did you go to school?
I went to undergraduate in CU Boulder. I'm from Colorado originally.
Oh, okay.
And then I went to UCLA out here.
Oh, really? Now is CU Boulder specifically a ceramic?
No, it's the biggest state school in Colorado. They've got a really great art program, all kinds of departments, good painting, drawing, really good ceramics program. That was 2000 that I graduated from there. So.
Okay, so you went to UCLA early part of the century?
Yeah, 2005 I
the
graduated.
turn of the century, shall we say?
Yeah.
So when you were there, when you were at UCLA, was Chris Burden still there?
He was on my committee.
Oh, yeah?
He actually quit when I was there.
Oh, you were there for the
He was going
whole...
to be on my committee, but we had some great conversations.
You were there for the gun incident?
I was not.
You were not present.
I wasn't present, but I was there for the meetings afterwards and the attempt for reconciliation. And then I was disappointed that I lost him from my committee. I had to mix up my stuff, but I had some good conversation with him.
So now, were you aware of Ed Keenholz up before the show was coming up?
I have been aware of them since I was showing at Louvre.
Yeah.
I think that Ed Keenholz is not as well known as some of the artists of his era.
Oh yeah. Well, he was big in LA, but
sure.
at the time.
Yeah.
But I think the consciousness of who he was.
Yeah. No, I think he's coming up. His pieces. They're so intense. They're so hard and heavy that I think it's not the kind of easy art you put up on your bedroom wall or
Never
something.
has been, never will be.
necessarily.
No, no, they're not pretty pictures. Okay, what are we looking at here?
I've done a series of, kind of after Hurricane Katrina, I did a series of emergency response equipment.
Ooh.
And this is a piece, it's actually on the side of a building in downtown LA. This is my ceramic sculpture of it. This is life-sized. So those are, the kind of size of, those are valves that you would put a fire hose onto. So that's like, that's going to have 6 hoses coming off of it at the bottom of like a towering inferno in downtown LA, basically.
Oh, okay. So when the really big, this is really, we need it when the really big fire hits.
Absolutely.
And that's probably going to be the aftermath of the earthquake, right?
And those, besides the structure, I've done fire hoses. There's the fire extinguishers, fire axes, all the material, all the equipment we see in public buildings that are legally mandated to be everywhere. You see these things all over the place. You see them in an art gallery, the red fire extinguisher right next to some paintings. And I just started seeing them everywhere, and I kind of, fire hydrants everywhere on the street. You can't park in front of them. They're kind of special. They're protected because they're there to protect us, and they're waiting for that moment when disaster strikes.
It's the mundane landscape, really.
Yeah.
And but without it, woohoo! They didn't have these in ancient Rome, right?
No,
and
it's really good. You can see, I've traveled around the world and do equipment from different places, and you can tell a lot by culture, by its development, by how kind of strong its infrastructure is, what it is. In Japan, say there's fire extinguishers everywhere. I mean, we did burn their country to the ground once. So yeah, you'll see 3 fire extinguishers in the corner of every building. They're just, then you go to some place that's underdeveloped, like say Cambodia, and you don't see a fire hydrant in the whole city.
And everything's made out of wood, bamboo. It's like it could go up and
like they're there. They're important objects, and by making them the black color is the color is the ceramic. It's actually black clay. That I put a wax on. So those aren't painted. That's the actual, I'm really into materials, and that actually is like the naked material right there.
Where do you get black clay?
From Laguna. Laguna's an art supply store.
The art supply, but where is the black clay from?
Well,
what part of the world?
Clays today, they make clays out of, say, 4, 5, 6 materials that are from all over the world mixed together. Manganese is the material that makes that black. So yes, yeah.
I got to drop names, and I don't know a lot about ceramics, but I studied at Cal State LA years ago with Joe Soldate, and there's a Soldate clay. Have you ever heard of this?
I use Soldate in my classroom. Yeah.
You use Soldate in your classroom?
I teach some advanced ceramics down at Cal State Long Beach.
So, oh really?
Long Beach.
Oh yeah? Cal State LA.
Yeah.
All right. So. The rivalry that doesn't exist.
Sure.
There's like
no, there isn't one. I thought no.
Yeah, there's not. Oh man, the what is it? The 710. Do we call it the 710 freeway
710,
series?
605. Like yeah.
So okay, so where is this? Is this taken in a gallery? Was this shot?
This is new work. This is actually a show I just had out at La Sierra University in Riverside.
Oh, okay.
It's a show of all these old, worn-out cannons, mortars, swivel guns, howitzers. So those are all, even those are just kind of modernist-looking forms or vase-like objects, those are actually all cannons. Those are killing machines right there. Those are little murderers, little dealers of death.
But retired.
But retired.
Like
exactly.
veterans.
Like worn out. Like we're 16 years into a war, and our cannons and our weapons have been used for so long that they're just worn out, and they're like laying around like museum objects now.
What in here has been used, and what has? I mean, like, what's the most recent?
I mean, that's a range. That's a range of weapons from, say, about 1500, the first firearms.
1500. Wow.
This one right behind me here.
Okay.
That's kind of a really old one. And then some, let's say the little howitzers kind of beneath you there. That's maybe Civil War.
Okay.
Well, it's like Civil War era.
Oh, okay, so this is like
these are older, yeah. Maybe
15 to the 1800s.
Like say around turn 19th century. I have a very large can at the turn of the century. That's the last one I made. But these are old, yeah.
Let me ask you, and how do you sell this? Is this an installation? Are they individual objects?
That group right there, we like that. We were just debating that. Peter and I would say, Peter, how do you sell this? That's his job, right? But that group really came together nicely as a group, so it would be great to sell that as a cluster there.
Yeah.
We did price each individual object there, but they really work so well in that one group.
But you do hold out thinking that there is
It would be nice. It'd be nice if an institution or the right place, because they really work fantastically as a group there.
There's a tragic poetry here. Now, have you ever had one of those like military guys come up? Not military guys, but like those retired guys who are really in the military and go, I noticed the thing here was 14 millimeters and you made it a little. Have you ever gotten lectured by these guys?
I've worried about that for like years and years, that I would not ever make the whatever object I was making quite right. And it just doesn't actually happen. And it's letting me kind of, like I don't have to worry about it. No one's going to care if like the wingtip's it's not quite long enough or, no. But I'd go through extensive research and study to make sure that they're, kind of true to the thing. I mean, the thing, like these are heavy objects that have a deep past. I don't want to be flippant with them. I try to kind of study them, and even if they're dark things, at least give them the respect that they do.
No, I mean, there is, like you said, a modernist score. I mean, ironically, very pre-modern here.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, the Civil War was happening here. Edward Manet was still thinking about Da Vinci, right?
Yeah,
so
it's great. I mean, the recycling of images is. I mean, there's so much of that happening in all art right now. Bringing it back. I mean, it's postmodernism, really.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah.
What are we looking at here?
Oh, so that's a picture of me in uniform on the USS Iowa, the battleship in San Pedro.
Ah, okay. It's retired, right?
It is retired.
It is a retired.
I was never in the Navy, but I'm a member of the volunteer crew.
You are a member of the volunteer Navy?
I'm not the volunteer Navy, but the volunteer crew on the USS Iowa.
Like you just show up to like clean the kitchen every couple of months?
I have not cleaned the kitchen, but I do restore the brass on the ship.
Oh, really?
All the bright work. So you're talking about these old guys, like, hey, is this well, I hang out with those guys a lot, the veterans.
Wow.
Okay. I went, this ship showed up 5 years ago. I went down there and I basically had pictures of the sculptures of ships I had made to apply. I started giving tours, and then we noticed that the brass was just not really looking that good after 16, 18 years of sitting around.
You do the spit polish?
We've developed a lot of techniques.
Yeah?
Yeah. And that I'm standing next to the binnacle right there, which is
the binnacle?
It's the object that has the compass on the ship.
Ah!
Right? You have the binnacle,
which
gives the ship direction, and everyone calls me Binnacle Ben on the ship.
I
have a real Navy nickname.
Wow,
it's wonderful.
That might be your biggest. L.A. Louver, forget it. This is Binnacle Ben. He has a Navy nickname.
I'm telling you, when you're standing on a battleship that's 887 feet long, weighs about 50,000 tons.
Wow.
I mean, I think it's one of the most interesting objects in the city. I mean, it is an object.
You look at it as an object.
It's an object it's been all around the world. It's traveled a lot more than I have. It was built for World War II, commissioned in 42.
Okay.
And then it was in the Korean War, and then it was reactivated for the Cold War.
And USS Iowa, so they only had soldiers from Iowa on it?
No, they just named it Iowa.
No Nebraskans allowed? No?
But the state of Iowa actually did put several $1 million forward to get it fixed, so all Iowans can get on for free.
Oh, really? Like if you show your
Iowa driver's license.
Oh, geez. Yeah. I went to school in Dubuque for 2 years. I'm thinking I'm going to try to sneak in.
But it helps, by doing that, it helps me understand these really complicated issues of war, of national interest, of death, of killing, of service. And seeing these old men, hearing these stories, it helps me just realize how complicated it all is. And to say stop war, it's a nice gesture, a nice idea, but it's just really complicated.
It's complicated because without a defense, then who comes in and says,
what was a good war? Was World War II a good war? Was Vietnam a good war?
Yes.
Like, different people have different opinions about it.
We're no longer isolationist.
And here we are, and we're building up again now to, I mean, the war's been going on, but we
got like 7 or 8 wars now. Just roll the dice, see which one you're going to go to.
Oh, it looks like here's another piece behind me here.
What do we got here?
This is a series. This is one of the drones that we use. That's a mahogany sculpture that has an 8-foot wingspan, and then I graphite it. I polish it perfectly, and then put a graphite coating on it, so it kind of hides that it's this beautiful wood. And that's our Global Hawk, our new spy plane.
Is that a drone, or are people flying this?
No, that is a drone. And that drone in real life has about a 100-foot wingspan.
Oh, wow.
That's a huge airplane.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, very
100-foot wingspan.
And that we have, I'm sure there's a couple of those flying over Korea right now, flying over the Middle East. That's our most sophisticated spy plane.
Wow, and can it drop a bomb?
That does not drop bombs, just cameras.
And you carved this from wood?
I did, yeah.
Wow.
You use grinders, you use files, you use sandpaper.
So you have your studio is like a tool shop, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah?
I'm known as a tool guy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And I work about half in clay, half in wood, which is great that I can solve problems in different ways. I started to do some bronzes. So I think if you can do clay, wood, metal as a sculptor,
At art school, were you the tool crib guy?
I mean, I always had the tools,
yeah?
For sure.
Were you the tool crib?
I worked in the wood shop as an undergraduate, so.
So are there any famous artists that borrowed tools from you that didn't return them that you want to out right now as
I may have borrowed some tools from Charles Ray that I returned.
Okay, well.
I worked for him. He was my professor at UCLA, and I worked for him after school.
Oh, really?
And he loaned me some tools on long-term loan.
Yeah, long-term loan. Okay, the old saying I heard my grandfather said, if you're not a cool tool guy, don't have tools because you will lend them and you will never get them back.
Sure, that's right.
When you need tools, go to the tool guy. So, another cannon. Where are we here? Is this also in Riverside?
This is also in Riverside. That is like a 12-foot ceramic cannon there, and I made that by basically just coil building, the kind of way you build a pot.
Wow.
And that's that's like one of the largest ceramic objects I've ever made right there. A very big piece.
And it's accurate to the actual cannon.
It is. It's so that's a scale model. The real one is called a 100-ton gun. This gun's at Gibraltar and Malta in the Mediterranean.
There's one right there now.
They are.
If
And
you
it's
attack Gibraltar, they're going to use this cannon.
Well, they used it like the turn of the century, 1900, and then it's become obsolete because they just kept building better, fast, bigger guns. But this huge gun still. There's a picture of me next to the thing.
Is this installing or building?
That's just we had just finished installing, and I was just kind of sitting there, to get some scale. It's helpful to give scale with these pieces sometimes.
Wow,
You kind of lose that. And you can see there's other cannons behind it. There are about, I think, 19 cannons in the show.
Wow.
And that's a big gun. Yeah. And transporting that, moving it, I had to drive that down to Long Beach, unfired, to fire it there, move it back and forth.
How big a kiln? I mean, did you have like?
They're the two elements, the barrel and the body. There are two pieces, and they're each 6 feet tall. So we have a humongous kiln at Long Beach. It's called Superman. This kiln.
Wow.
It's a car kiln. So the floor rolls out. You put your pieces on it. You roll it back in. There's a crane to get things out if you need to.
Okay.
That's
and
great.
what happens if you drop it?
It's gone.
So
everything you did would be gone.
What percentage of fired material have you broken over the years? I'm hoping you're getting better.
I would like it's less than 10%.
Less than 10%?
Sure.
Pretty good.
There are still catastrophes that happens.
Yeah, once in a while. But it doesn't break your heart because you just have to make another one?
Sometimes they break your heart.
Oh, geez, really?
It's like you open the kiln. You hope it's like this moment of truth. It's in there. It's like Christmas morning. It could be great. Or you open it up and it's like a crime scene. And it's just like destruction, obliteration.
Although 9 out of 10 in baseball, you'd be like the greatest player who ever lived.
I'm shooting for 10 out of 10 at this point.
10 out of 10,
though.
10?
I think
Okay,
at this age, at this point in my career, I should stop making these mistakes.
No, well, but you're supposed to be able to get over them after some point, but sometimes it breaks your heart.
No, you move on eventually.
Okay.
Sometimes you rebuild them, sometimes you just move on.
Jeez. Okay, so I want to recap. You have a show opening in July.
Yes.
Man, you guys plan ahead. I couldn't tell you what I'm doing in July. So you're showing in July at LA Louver.
Yeah.
With Ed Kienholz.
Yeah.
So Nancy will be there, right?
I believe so.
Nancy Redden.
Yeah. I think it's some of his work that he made. I don't know exactly when the work was made. It's some older work that they've acquired that kind of relates to my work a little bit.
Oh, great. So is it going to be an integrated 2-person show?
I think it's not totally decided. I think his work's going to be upstairs and mine's going to be downstairs.
Okay, but there'll be a dialogue.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, that's great. And I think and the downstairs space there is like
it's
one of the
fantastic.
Centers of the LA art world.
It is. It's glorious. Yeah.
Wow. Well, Ben Jackel, thank you so much for joining us on Modern Art Blitz. It was a pleasure to have you. Tell Peter and Elizabeth I said hi.
You bet.
And we'll be back right after this.